The James Show Podcast.
That wasn't some random weirdo on the street over here in Victory Park saying that. That wasn't a homeless guy yelling at me from a dart station. That wasn't your brother-in-law who got a little drunk at Thanksgiving. This is the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. And this is...
The right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War.
This is the most irresponsible language possible. This is unacceptable. Now, really, if you wanted to take sort of the lighthearted approach, there's a lot of comedy there. Oh, that's hilarious. The right wing wants a civil war. Bro, if we wanted a civil war, you would know it. We're the ones who want a civil war? Who's rioting all the time? Who's keying Teslas and firebombing dealerships? Who's shooting at the other one's thought leaders on college campuses? Who is attacking law enforcement, whether it's the defund the police crew, the BLM guys that are shooting Dallas cops, the ICE attackers who are in like half a dozen instances just this year have gotten violent? The right's not asking for a civil war. The left is asking for a civil war, and it's the dumbest thing you can ask for. This level of hyperbole is irresponsible and reckless and getting people killed already. And not only are they not learning their lesson and tapping the brakes, this is gas on the fire level stuff. And what is he talking about? What made him say this? What was the press conference about yesterday that Brandon Johnson felt the need to invoke the Civil War? It's about ICE raids in his city. It's about a law enforcement agency actually enforcing the law. So now he's calling it fascism and ICE is going rogue and we've set up some ICE-free zones. And look, let me play some more of these clips from his press conference yesterday because, again, this is just from ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, enforcing immigration and custom law, just from doing their normal job, just for having the gall of having immigration laws and trying to enforce them. This is a level of hyperbole you get. So it sounds like to Brandon Johnson, you're a fascist. Why? Because you want to enforce the law. That's what fascism.
When they came in the middle of the night, they terrorized the families that were living there. There were children who were without clothing. They were zip-tied, taken outside at 3 o'clock in the morning. A senior resident, an American citizen, with no warrants, was taken outside and handcuffed for 3 hours. Doors were blown off their hinges. Walls were broken through. Immigration agents coming from Black Hawk helicopters to set up snipers on nearby buildings. This is America.
Yeah, it's America. We've been waiting for this. This isn't scary. This is fantastic. Finally. You guys have been sanctuary cities. You guys have been flouting the law. I'm not going to enforce that law. Yeah, I know the American people want it. I know the American people send their representatives who go vote on these laws and put them in place. I know American people, one of the driving forces on why they voted the way they did in the last 4 election cycles is immigration. And we're finally enforcing it. You think that's scary? Gee, I don't know. Why are they setting up snipers? Why is ICE being so overly militaristic and cautious with their safety? I don't know. Maybe you keep shooting at them. Maybe you keep throwing bricks at their moving vehicles. Maybe you're boxing them in Chicago when they're trying to leave. And that was another fun lie that got busted yesterday. Newsbusters put together a nice little montage of J.B. Pritzker, the governor, Tammy Duckworth, one of the senators, both saying this report that cars were boxing in ICE vehicles in Chicago. That's not true. And then the last clip, you'll hear the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department saying, hey, can y'all stop boxing in ICE vehicles?
What do you know about this incident? Were federal agents boxed in and assaulted?
Well, we don't have a lot of facts. What happens in these sorts of incidents is typically ICE puts out a press release before anybody else can speak with the press, and then it gets reported on social media and elsewhere. So they are just putting out their propaganda.
She claims that federal agents were surrounded and were threatened. What are local authorities telling you about what they think happened here?
Well, they lie, right? The Trump administration lies. We have a president who's a known liar, and they have been lying about the situation all along.
They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in, with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death.
Coming up next, you're going to hear the progression of sound bites from the mayor of Chicago's press conference yesterday, where he goes from enforcing the law as fascism. How does he get from there to the right wants a civil war? I know you and I are both really sensitive about the hyperbole that's been going on, the sensational invective that's been thrown at all of Team Red, because that's getting people killed. It's getting ICE agents shot at. There's all kinds of negative consequences that go just beyond, oh, they said a silly thing. It's inciting all kinds of people to do crazy things, and we're on the business end of these crazy things. So it's important not only to recognize the hyperbole and shout it down or whatever, but also let's recognize how we got here. The start of this press conference yesterday was based around the ICE raids and then the impending National Guard presence in Chicago. So Brandon Johnson started off with just enforcing the law is fascism. Another ugly thing that he said right after that, the second ugly thing he said, is ICE is going rogue. And I find this absolutely bizarre. Wait, you mean the people whose job it is to arrest illegal immigrants, when they come in and they arrest illegal immigrants, that's going rogue? What are you even talking about? They're just unaccountable. They're just roving bands of ICE agents that are just, kidnapping people for sport?
We have a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed mass individuals roaming throughout our city that are not accountable to the people of Chicago. Their actions put all Chicagoans at risk. When protesters confronted federal immigration agents in Brighton Park on Saturday, they were met with pepper balls and more repression.
Good. That's what you said. Bad things are supposed to happen to you when you interfere with law enforcement officers conducting their duty. And if you are getting in the way of the cops who are arresting criminals, you're not one of the good guys. You understand that? Now let me play the first half of that soundbite again and tell me if this could apply even better to an Antifa or BLM riot situation. Just think about that.
We have a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed mass individuals roaming throughout our city that are not accountable to the people of Chicago. Their actions put all Chicagoans at risk.
I guess except for the heavily armed part. So what did Brandon Johnson do yesterday? He's declared some ICE-free zones. I think that's out of your jurisdiction, sir.
And today we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
So now, if you're a federal law enforcement agency just coming to enforce the law as it's written on the books, not only will Chicago, they're a sanctuary city, so they're not going to cooperate, they're not going to share their information, they're not going to turn people in, they're not going to hold them for you. Now you can't even use their parks. You can't even use any sort of public property as part of the staging okay. So now he says he's going to do anything it takes to stop ICE. Really?
You just said we may be pushed, if not forced, to take even more dramatic action if this administration continues to escalate. What exactly does that mean from a city perspective?
Everything.
Meaning?
Everything. Whatever is necessary to ensure that we're protecting people.
2 questions later, someone asked, well, are you going to arrest ICE members? You said you would do anything. Are you going to arrest them? Well, no, not that. So this guy isn't even serious. He hasn't even thought this through. He's just going out doing a show, saying things that he think will make him more popular and cool in front of the cool kids, I suppose.
But it doesn't explicitly authorize Chicago police to arrest federal officers by violating. The idea seems to be to take them to court over a violation and establish that precedent. Am I understanding correctly?
You've done very well, sir.
So this guy's just running his mouth. How reckless is this? We'll do anything it takes to stop ICE. Okay, you going to arrest them? Well, no, not that. So you don't even mean what you say. You're just throwing out crazy rhetoric. Other crazy people on your side of the aisle are hearing it. They're acting accordingly. They're attacking ICE agents. They're boxing them in with their vehicles. They're ramming their vehicles. They're accosting them in public parks when they're just trying to put on their gear. And so it really takes a huge pair down in your undercarriage to even utter the phrase, boy, the right really wants a civil war here. Really?
The right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War. I want that to sit in right now, because the President of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America.
That's right.
He's more interested in giving billions of dollars to other nations, while farmers in urban cities around this country are literally being destabilized.
Dude, how many things did he say incorrect there? Donald Trump's not at war with the American people. What are you talking about? He's not at war with the people of Chicago. He's not even at war with illegal immigrants. He's just enforcing the law. You know, if you were at war with someone, you would go in and you would shoot them. That's what war means. If you did take prisoners, you would put them in a POW camp. You wouldn't send them home. They're going to their home country. That's not what you do. This is so irresponsible. And then what was that part about urban farmers? Like, is that even possible?
While farmers in urban cities around this country are...
Stop it. How many farmers are in Chicago? How many giant farms are in any urban city? Is that even possible? Can you be both urban and agricultural? Oh, my goodness. This is how reckless it is. But what a bold statement. The right wing wants a rematch of the Civil War. No, we don't. And you know what? You don't either. And you need to stop saying dumb things like that. Because you know what? Should one pop off? We're the ones who are ready. Do city people, I'm from the country, so sometimes I learn things about our city neighbors here. City people, do y'all know what a ghillie suit is? Garrett, are you from the country? Would you say you're from the country or a suburb? Or what? Do you know what a ghillie suit is? You have no idea? Google it. Because me and all my country friends know what a ghillie suit is. Who do you think's more prepared for a civil war? Look at this, country people. Aren't they great? Aren't they adorable? The city people are talking noise again. The city people that think guns are scary. They don't own anything that's camo. They don't own any guns. They've never practiced with guns. They think militia is just something silly people do out in the country, that only a weirdo would do that. How many ghillie suits do their friends own? Brandon Johnson, do you have a ghillie suit? You ready? You really want this to pop off? You don't. I promise you do not want a rematch of the Civil War. The Republicans won the first one. We'll win the second one even faster. In fact, before the show, me and Garrett were arguing. This isn't going to be a 4-year war again. This might be a 4-month war, maybe a 4-week war, maybe a 4-day war. Garrett thinks it might be a 4-hour war, because it's just going to be the right just completely annihilating the left. What are y'all going to do? You going to key my truck? Is that what you're going to do? You going to hurt my feelings? Are you going to attack me with incorrect pronouns? Is that what you're going to do? You do not know what you're saying. You have no idea what we are capable of. You go hunting for fun, Brandon Johnson? Have you ever shot anything wildly reckless? Everyone should be shouting this down. Even the craziest person at MSNBC should be like, dude, shut up. Shut up, Brandon. You're going to get us all killed. No one wants a civil war. Stop saying that. The right doesn't want it. The left is just running their mouth. Y'all really don't want it either. But if you force this to pop off, you are not going to like the result. Because the reality is, do you really want a civil war? I don't. I sure as hell don't. You know what all we're asking for? Deport illegals, and the National Guard is going in there to stop criminals. That's it. I don't even think it would count as a civil war, because you're not going to a war on behalf of an American constituency. You're going into war based on what? Foreigners? You're ready to go to you want to pop off a civil war to protect people who aren't supposed to be here anyway. Illegal immigrants. Wow, what a bold statement. What an absolute bold statement. Wanting to enforce the laws, wanting to quell gang violence in major American inner cities. This is what you're going to go to civil war over? You know, going to war over slavery, kind of a big deal, kind of a noble cause. That was fantastic. We ended up freeing all the slaves, and that was a great result from a very ugly event in American history. But who are y'all going to war for? People who aren't even supposed to be here? You need to hush your mouth with this hyperbole, sir. It's not just disrespectful or irresponsible. It's getting people killed. 800-288-9227. This is Leighton and Cisco. You're on WBAP.
Afternoon, James. That punk from Chicago, it sounds an awful lot like he's trying to stir up violence in a very bad way. Something that he may not think about is conflicts or wars take money. Why doesn't President Trump just go ahead and hit pause or strip all federal funding from Chicago and from Illinois, and go ahead and do an emergency deputization of the Chicago PD, and that way they can accelerate the cleaning up of Chicago?
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if. I mean, you deputize and federalize an entire police department. I wouldn't like that if they did that in Dallas. I wouldn't like it if they did that in Bug Tussle. I think that would be a federal government overreach for them to co-opt a municipal police department. The part about the holding back of funding, that sounds so wild to me because economically speaking, I'm a libertarian. I'm an Austrian economist, and I don't believe we should be funding them anyway. I think we should pull all federal funding from all cities and all states in all situations, except for the very limited the definition of what the federal government's allowed to do in Article 1, Section 8. Coin money, weights and measures, things like that. We shouldn't be sending them any money. So I don't. Obviously, if we are sending them money, then they are giving the federal government some of their sovereignty, because now we have the ability to withhold that money, and they don't have their full freedom and separation of powers. It was the same thing that was used against us during COVID when, we're going to do the COVID shutdowns. You're going to have to shut down your school. And there were some reticent team red districts that are like, we don't want to shut down. And they said, we're going to pull the funding for your school lunches. And what that really means is if you're going to stay open and the kids come in and they want their free lunch, either you're going to have to charge them or you're going to have to eat the cost, and you don't have the ability to eat the cost. So because we were sold this bill of goods that they were doing us some favor by helping little poor kids, you don't want them to miss lunch. What you really gave up was your sovereignty. What you really gave up was your ability to make your own decisions about your own local school district. So now these school districts that are supposed to be run by the local people are really run by people in D.C. So I just think we should just end all federal funding to all places. Now, that's not the world we live in. Why don't we do that now? I don't know. I don't know why they haven't done it. I don't know why he didn't do it in his first term. If you're a sanctuary city, none of those people should get money. But I don't know. Is it going to be tied up in lawsuits or something? I really don't know why they don't do that, Leighton, because it really does sound pretty simple. You want to hurt them? Hold money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I solved that one.
Well, as far as the libertarian angle that you were espousing, there's a lot of it that I agree with. Okay. Yeah.
Was there something else, or did his phone drop? Okay. Matthew and Denton, you're on WBAP.
I was held prisoner of war for 10 years in Illinois. Being a native Texan, it was very difficult, and I actually married out of my state, and I apologize for that. What you have to understand about the people in Illinois, and this is from their basic citizen all the way up to their cray governor, is the Democrat Party is the state, and that is to be worshipped and to run everything. The state knows better. I was shocked by interacting with terribly intelligent human beings who believe that the Democrats are 100% right and would argue that their downstate county was just backwards and befuddled because they're not following the lead of Cook County. It's crazy. And when their mayor says they want a redo of the Civil War, what he fails to realize is he is the one on the side of slavery. He is the one holding, in a sense, illegal aliens at bay. And to think that he wouldn't like the freedom that his people and ancestors or whoever, hell, I don't know, for all I know, he wasn't related to any of them. For him to go through all of that and to realize the beauty in the life that they have, instead they want to make more crime. They want to continue to do things that hurt their people. You talked about withholding money hurt him. Donald Trump doesn't want to hurt anyone. He wants to make everyone's life better. And the Democrats do want to fight this civil war. They want to fight it on the side of the Democrats the first time.
Can I put one just change to that? He doesn't want to make everyone's life better. He doesn't want to make illegal immigrants' life better. Sending someone back from the greatest country the world's ever known to whatever hellhole they came from, that doesn't make their life better. And preventing criminals from roaming free even after they've committed 22 felonies, that's not going to make their lives better. But the people whose lives he doesn't want to make better deserve it. Illegal immigrants don't deserve to live here. Criminals don't deserve to be able to commit 22 felonies and still walk the street. So it's not everybody, but your point definitely stands, Matthew. What's with the court stopping Donald Trump from sending in the National Guard? So let's ask Jeremy Rosenthal, legal analyst for The James Show from TexasDefenseFirm.com. Welcome back to the show for the 1,000th time, Jeremy. I don't understand how can a federal judge late Sunday block Trump from sending the National Guard into Oregon?
Okay, let's start with the beginning. That would be the Constitution, right? So Constitution basically creates state militias, says that that's Congress's thing. Congress gives about 90% of the state militia power to the governor. And there are 3 times that Congress says the president can nationalize the National Guard. 1 is if there's an invasion. 2 is if there is a rebellion. And the 3rd is if he is unable to protect federal property. And that's basically what Oregon says is there. And look, the disagreement is what's happening on the ground, I guess, at an ICE facility or around federal installations. Is it mass pandemonium and riots like 1968? Is it 12 hippies sleeping across the street? And if the administration has what's called a colorable argument, then they can deploy troops to protect the federal property.
Hang on.
But
what does colorable mean?
What's that?
You said colorable argument?
Colorable. That's a good lawyer word.
That sounds racist. Oh,
it is. It might have a. I don't. It's the word they taught me, James. I got a lot of debt.
Okay, so colorable,
like
adjective.
Yes,
an adjective meaning seemingly genuine or legally valid. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, see, there we go. And look, who knows when they made this word in the 12 or 13 or 1400s? Who knows what why they made it? It could be some, racially whatever. But yeah, they've got to have a straightforward argument, a straight-faced argument that says, look, we need to do this because we're not able to do it otherwise. And Oregon basically came back and argued and said, well, you can use civilian federal law enforcement. You can use your own ICE agents to defend it. That's the rub here. That's the fight.
So why didn't why did the court allow him to use the National Guard in some of these other circumstances? I understand D.C. he has full jurisdiction over that, but why only Oregon?
I think that these are going to be, if we're going to see this in other parts of the country, I think they're really going to have to be on a case by case basis because you've got that criteria and really. The last time, and I, not to confuse or conflate issues, Donald Trump yesterday referenced, I think, the Insurrection Act. Last time that was invoked was in 1992 in the LA riots. So these things have precedents here and there. Obviously, nationalizing the militias have gone back, segregation, things like that. When you look at it, though, I think that the facts are going to have to match, and if he's going to deploy the Guard in the state against the governor's will, every governor is going to challenge it. Look, Ron Pitzker he got elected to be difficult for Donald Trump. That's good politics in Illinois, and it's good politics in Oregon. That's why they're opposing it. And that just sort of means that the administration is going to have to come with, look, here's why we need the Guard to come and defend this federal installation.
So the wording in this, federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration. So this isn't permanent. Is this just the order of things until a court case gets decided?
Correct. So that's right. A preliminary injunction means that you've shown a likelihood of success on the merits, and you've shown that you're going to be irreparably harmed without that relief. Also, these things I think are going to make their way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is just now in session, and you see a lot of these cases that we hear all these injunctions about. Now the court has the full chance to really dig into these, and you're going to get opinions, probably not for a little bit, but now the court's really going to be able to resolve a lot of these issues where you had some of these initial restraining orders against some of the early court actions in the Trump administration. So I do think you're going to see a lot more resolution with some of those issues.
Do you have a prediction, or you think eventually even a crazy judge in Oregon would allow the National Guard to be deployed there?
I don't know about that. It really, there's going to be a trial on it at some point. There was actually a trial in California, I think about a month ago. So you're only pausing it for a moment. This judge didn't seem really persuaded by a lot of the government's arguments. So when you get that initial ruling, that you have a potential likelihood on the merits, it's kind of rare to see that sort of mindset flip. But circumstances can change. Things on the ground can change. A lot of times a judge will say, well, government, I don't see evidence of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And a good government lawyer says, well, let's go get evidence of 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So a lot of times, the advocates on the ground can have a little way to sort of figure things out like that. So you could see something like that happen, but it's a pretty early indication that this judge wasn't a fan.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeremy Rosenthal, legal analyst on The James Show. You can find his work, texasdefensefirm.com. And remember your word of the day, colorable. Colorable.
Make colorable arguments at home. Yes, colorable. Yes.
That felt forced. You should have stopped, Jeremy. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right. Real quick, let's do David in Bedford. Hey, David, you're on WBAP.
Oh, hey, James. The thing is, I heard this morning, and I didn't check it on, look it up on Google too, but fact check some of the stuff. These cities get federal money from the government for the crime that they have in their cities. And if Trump can be successful in lowering crime in some of these cities, receive federal dollars, they're going to lose some of that federal money, and they will probably go bankrupt. It's like a contractor borrowing from the next job to pay for the past job and continue down that road till you finally go bankrupt. You have a city that's taking federal dollars for crime, and they're using it at other places rather than where they're supposed to use it so they can keep the money coming in.
Well, I hate the fact that they get all this federal money from us in the first place. Why is money taken from you, David, in Bedford, given to D.C., and D.C. gives some of that to Chicago? Why? I don't understand this system.
Totally. I agree with you totally.
Well, I wish we just get rid of that whole thing. All right. Well, you're bringing up good points, though. Thank you very much. That's David in Bedford, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, you're going to hear some really bizarre hyperbole about these ICE raids coming up next on The James Show, including AOC. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.